All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michael Kott from CM Equity. I'm very happy today to make an interview with Kimberly Ann from Lahontan Gold Corp. And I want to have this interview as a kind of sample interviews of maybe a couple of which will follow, because all of we are investing in people and we investing in megatrends. And I think Kimberly is incorporating this in her personality. Why CM Equity would like in this working with Kimberly Ann, in particularly with the management of Lahontan Gold. And what it is all about, these people and these megatrends, I think I would like to figure out together with Kim, which we have here in the call. And so I will ask a couple of questions, and I'm very excited about your answers because it will be pretty uncommon question. I think what you usually hear from mining interviews and when everything is about the project, but here it's about the people who manage these kind of projects. And that's what I would like to focus on today. So Kimberly, on a personal note and on a personal question. So who is this Kimberly Ann? What are you standing for? What are you representing? Who are you?
Thank you for having me. First of all, Michael, I'm very excited to be here and share our story with you, my story. Who is Kimberly Ann? I am a leader in many different companies, assets in my life across the board. I grew up with families that were all entrepreneurs. We were taught to build your own companies, control your own destiny, and just believe in what you can accomplish. And I've been very successful doing that, and it's been a lot of years of fantastic different companies, but across the board, I just want to continue to learn and represent that to the world because I do think everybody has an important voice, and I think not enough of us use it. And I always am looking for another way, another platform to get people understanding what's important in the world. Is fascinating to me because our planet is in dire need of all of our help. Being carbon neutral by net zero by 2050 is a possible task, but it does start with all of us in the mining space and all these different categories working as a team to move them forward. And I just don't think we're there yet. So I'm racing as a human and a leader to push those agendas forward through my company, but also through my relationships.
So Kim, but um, a little bit more about your background. So have you always been a mining engineer or mining entrepreneur? What did you do before? And are you born in this mining space industry, or what did your
Uh,
parents? Maybe
Absolutely
where
not.
are you coming from?
Absolutely not. If you would have asked me 20 years ago that I would be a mining executive, I would say I think I'd be more likely to be the president of the United States. My family business around furniture. We have a very large factory in Seattle, Washington. We supply airline seats for Boeing. We work hand in hand with Starbucks and Nordstrom on different products. The background has always been about more traditional businesses. My dad, I think, still doesn't understand what I do because he thinks it's brick and mortar, make something, sell something. That's where my parents' background is. But I started owning my own companies very early on. When I was 16, I was competitively skiing throughout my career. With that, I was very successful, but I had a lot of knee injuries and I had to force myself to retire from that. But in parallel with that, I had my own clothing companies. Then I started 2 hair salons, and that was very successful. And I met my husband of 30 years now at my hair salon, and I sold that for a very successful amount to my dear friend and launched 2 more clothing lines. And I got into mining, honestly, from investing in my friend's penny stock company, had no idea what I was even investing in. I did it out of believing in a person. And I made a 15 fold on that deal within 4 months. And I thought, wow, okay, wait a minute. This is exciting. I want to know more about this. And I just went down the whole rabbit hole, as I like to call it, of mining. And it just became so fascinating to me. I saw a huge opening for a woman CEO, someone that really knows how to lead teams. I don't have a technical background, but what I do understand is if you can build a good team and you can accomplish anything with a great team, but also I always want them to be equally as invested. Meaning when I start a company, I make sure I give founder shares to all of our people, literally all of our people, so that everybody knows that we sink or swim together. Otherwise, I'm not interested in having you on my team. And so I think that's a different approach than we've ever seen in mining. I think mining is has a lot of men, older gentlemen, and I think we just need to see a shift. We need more younger ideas, younger thinking, think outside the box. That's why tech and crypto has been so fantastic for the youth because they see, especially crypto, they see it as something like new and unknown and let's figure it out. But mining can be that again. It needs to be that because it is the beginning of the supply chain of virtually everything we own, from our cell phones to our solar panels, etc. And that needs to be important to every human.
I think one thing was very clear from your answers, and I really thank you for explaining that to a lengthy way. With your first answer, you said, I'm in the leadership, in the management of many different things. And I think you are an alpha animal, that's for sure. You are an alpha and you would like to lead pack. And on the other side, what I think you made also very clear is that you are here to play in a team, and you would like to guide a team. You would like to and listen to other opinions, and you would integrate them from the early stages on. And I think this is very important because a team is always have to be complementary, and I think you are looking for always complementary skill sets to your own. And but by the way, your really skill set, what is your really talent in your life? How would you see that? Is it sales? Is it designing? Is it going out, socializing with people, getting them engaged, convincing them with arguments? So what is your talent?
I think a lot of one word that comes to mind is I know I'm very inspiring to people because when I think about creating that team, I think about your job is equally as important as my job. And I don't care about a title. I care about winning and whatever that objective of win means, that's everybody has to be a part of that team. And some things that bother me about a lot of different industries is that the CEO gets the big payday or the big win when something fantastic happens, but you're only as good as your team. And I totally believe that. It's the same as having a family. And so for me, being a good leader, inspiring people one way or the other is definitely in my strong suits. Yes, I'm a visionary. I've had so many different companies. I love building things. Monopoly was my favorite game when I was a child, and it still maintains to be that for me because I want my hands in anything that I can help move forward on any level, whether it's just me collaborating with somebody fantastic to help their story. It's not about what I get out of it, it's what I can contribute. And I'm never done learning. I can't stop learning. I'm always trying to improve myself through that. My background, I went to the UW, University of Washington, Seattle for a business degree. But at the same time, I have two clothing companies and a hair business at the same time. So I've always been an entrepreneur leader. And I think my family has absolutely expected that from me. They don't like the idea of me working for somebody else. They want me to lead, and that's what I was born to do.
I think you got some heritage there from your parents, that's for sure.
For
And
sure.
what I like to emphasize a little bit more in the interview is now a trend which I see as well. It's women in mining, which was for a couple of years very unusual. More and more women are leading mining companies are now in nowadays, and they are successful. They have a very strong skill set. They come with a strong skill set about whatever it needs, if it's geology, metallurgy, if it's any kind of mining aspect, also ESG and social. I think it's a point now that a lot of mining projects have to be ESG, have to be more sustainable. Mining was considered dirty business. Now mining should be
Yeah.
innovative, should be using new technologies and should be a sustainable carbon neutral business. And I think this is required as for normal companies like us. It's also required for the mining and for the early stage companies. And I think women playing here a crucial role because they bring this innovation, they bring this younger generation aspect in it, and they are and the younger generation, they want the sustainable world. And this is needed in the financial world, in particularly for qualifying for an investment. Can you elaborate a little bit about your experience in mining and maybe come then to the point why you become the CEO of Lahontan Gold, or how does this work?
First, back to your point about women in mining, I think it's fantastic to have more women in mining, but I do think that we need to be careful of not just filling a box of having a female board member because of the ESG factor. I think it's really important that you're bringing someone to the team that's actually going to add to the quality of what you're trying to accomplish. And that's hard to find. I would love to have more board members or even another woman board member. Half of our team on the ground is women, but finding the right fit that's going to add to our story, not take away from it, is important. And women don't think like men. So the balance you get from a professional woman on a board or management level is a fresh perspective, just bringing in someone young, like you're speaking about. Yeah. So mining, since I've been in mining, I had a company with my business partner, Prodigy Gold. It's a pretty famous story. We took that company from a 20 million market cap company, sold it for $340 million to Argonaut Gold, which was a fantastic win. It was over a 26-month timeline. And that was actually today, they just announced that they're doing a merger with Alamo. So very exciting. They're in production. That was a huge, I would call it a huge win. But we have a knack for finding quality assets, putting great teams together and moving them forward. And it doesn't matter if I build the mine with our team or somebody else does. It's just about every step of the way, making good business decisions on the ground and moving the project and the assets where they need to be, whether they're in our hands or someone else's, whatever's best for our shareholders and the future of the project. Once that was accomplished, I was offered a job at a very known fund in Toronto, Waterton, a debt company. And I learned so much from being on the other side because there's so many companies in any industry really that just aren't run well. I think the junior mining space is unfortunately plagued with a lot of CEOs that aren't running it like a business. To me, it's making sure we're on time, we're on budget. When I tell you something, Michael, we are going to deliver it. I can't think of any other way to do business. I Accountability is super important. When I went to work for the fund, it was quite really interesting to see people were coming to us for debt for one reason or another. And it was astounding to see what goes on. And I kept always going back to it's the people. Why is this person sitting across from us needing debt when they're not in production? You need to ask that question, right? So there's a lot of things that go into those type of conversations. But once I did that for a while, I thought, okay, I think I've learned as much as I want to learn from this business on this side. It's time for me to move on to something else because I'm always trying to grow my knowledge base. So then I shifted to Peru, put a underground mine in production with my business partner, and then moved on to starting a copper company. I really wanted to be more in the green space, copper gold. And I sold that company for 18 full for my shareholders in 24 months. And then beautiful Lahontan came out of this because dear friends of mine, Victoria Gold, the board and the management, we've all been friends for a very long time. Back to the people conversation. John McConnell called me up and said, Kimberly, I have one asset left in Nevada. I know you have other assets in Nevada. Would you be willing to move it forward? And that's how we formed Lahontan. And that was September of 2020, right before the whole pandemic. It was really brilliant for us because these assets are all in Nevada. I live 3 hours away from our projects, and our teams could continue to work during the pandemic, because you're in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. And we got a lot done in that timeline. But what was really special was I vowed to the Victoria Gold team to about 10 plus years ago that we have to figure out a way to work together. And so that's what has come out of this is Lahontan. And I can honestly say of my career, the Santa Fe asset that we're moving forward and pushing back into production is absolutely the best asset I could have ever hoped for. And the markets haven't been very fun the last couple of years, but what I know is the asset will always prevail over the markets. So continue to stay focused on the ground, move the business along, because once the markets do shift, people are going to go, I'm sorry, you have what? Where? I think it's going to be really exciting once people really figure it out what we have.
Yes, exactly. And you told me a couple of times about it and about the projects, and I followed you on the conferences a couple of times too. We had one-to-one meetings several times, so we spent a considerable time together. And I was fascinating about that. You telling me that you want to bring it into production. I think this is now. At what stage is this Lahontan Gold, and why you ask? Because when I looking from a financial investor, I looking up on Bloomberg, I see 9.7 million Canadian dollar market cap. So how can you bring that into production, and what would be your procedure on this, and why you are so convinced about it?
Oh, that's such a great question, Michael. It all comes down to making smart business decisions. This asset was in production from 1988 to 1992. It's considered a mine under closure, meaning we have a $500,000 bond in place with the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, which means every quarter for the past 30 plus years, we have been monitoring the air quality and the water. We have 3 wells on the property that we have all the water rights to. We have a substation, so we have power. We have road access, obviously. And we have almost 2 million ounces of gold and silver sitting there in the ground. I don't believe that you just take a project and you raise millions and millions of dollars and continue to dilute your shareholders down to drill another hole to see how big it is. At the end of the day, it's a business that we need to be cash flowing at some point. Once we put out our main resource last year of 1.7 million ounces, I looked at my VP of exploration and team and I said, what does that get us? Let's build a cash flow model around this. Is this sustainable right now without drilling anymore? Because we know there's lots more. But at some point, when do you choose to go down the path of permitting? Because we all know permitting does not move quickly, or just keep drilling. And so we made that decision internally last April. Look, we have enough to sustain a very nice mine that I can't tell you those numbers publicly right now, but very nice mine. You have to keep in mind this was mined back when gold was $370 and they're making money. What's happening with gold right now? So certainly it's a very economic project. And so we started this process with the plan of operations last April. You have to go through 5 growing seasons. You have to look for archaeological remains, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to be very responsible about this. And that's what we've been doing. So when I sit here and say, yeah, we're 8 million, whatever market cap company right now, I don't care about that right this moment. What I care about is delivering our permits to build it. We're going to be putting out our PEA, our preliminary economic assessment. We're hoping that's done in August to deliver to the market. That will show the mine life, the grade, the recoveries, how much we need to build it, etc. And really the message to the market is we're not messing around here. We're going to build this next year. And it's very probable that we will be able to do that because the capex will not be that expensive. It'll be under 100 million. Absolutely. Because we don't need to do a lot of extensive engineering. We know we have existing pits on the property and the pit walls are 50 degrees and they've been sitting there for 30 plus years. So we don't have to guess about that or do all the very expensive studies about that. We have 6 years of basically test mining to tell us what we can continue to do, right? Go back and do. Yeah, it sounds like a bold statement from a small market cap company, but we don't have debt. We're relatively royalty free. We have optionality of getting the financing because we would definitely do a debt facility more debt than anything else because the payback will be less than 2 years from what we're seeing right now. That's a very short timeline. But the reason for that is because it's a perfect storm in that we will start by delivering ore on the first shovel because our strip ratio is 0.7. And we know that from the mining back in the day. Now, project wide, it goes up to about 2 to 2.3, but that's project wide. So, meaning you start in one area, shovel ready, and then shift over once you do the laybacks. We're not just thinking like a small mining company, junior miner, just trying to see how big it is and hope to get bought out. We have a direct plan to get this back into production and the shortest timeline to do that. And I know from looking at every project in Nevada that interests me on personal or business levels that we are the furthest down the development line with the best economics coming out of this operation than any other group. There's a few out there that, yes, they have the plan of operation, but they don't have the grade that we have. Our grade is 1.12 EQ. Now we're going to play around with the numbers and see what the optimum is for the mine, but still, the point is to deliver or as soon as possible. We're cash flowing. Then we go back and drill and see how big it is because that part's gonna be really fun. But let's get cash flowing first.
Yes.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that was a lot of input also about the status of the operation and what you would achieve. There's a lot of milestones which you mentioned, the delivery of the PE, which is scheduled for August 2024, which I heard from you, and then the capex will be below 100 million. I'm just repeating this because I think it's very important for the audience that we are not here building a voting for a mine to revive the mine for a capex with more than a billion, which is very hard to finance in nowadays. And with giving the internal rate of return will be probably around 50 or even higher. So you within 2 years you will have it, and I think there's a lot of the company, so the project itself, the Santa Fe project, was an operating mine in the past. So I think from the permitting side, after you have done your environmental permit disclosures and collection of data, I think, you said you want to start building the mine already in 2025, which is just a couple of months ahead where we are right now. Time is flying. But tell me a little bit about who else is with you in this project from the stakeholder side, and who is and how is the communication with them, and how they are backing them. Are they financially strong enough to support future financings which are needed? What is your personal involvement? What is your personal stake? These kind of things, of course, the audience would be very interested too.
Yeah, that's a good question. I own 8% currently, 8.2 or something like that. I put money in every round. This company is a new company to the market, just 2 years coming up in a week or two. And of course, the timeline of going public, that's probably why our market cap is so small. But that being said, we have managed to pull in some very good shareholders, APAC, ASA, and the Goodman's Fund, Palos, and all these groups. They continue to throw in every time we go to do another round. I think that's important to note because these are sophisticated shareholders that understand the end game here, right? They're not new to the space. They know mining takes time, but they like our near direct approach to the short to long term plan. So yeah, those relationships were good. I talk to them on a every couple of months type baseline or when things are happening, and they're very supportive. I always talk to them around the holiday time. Everything starts to slow down because they're going to liquidate positions, some that they're just not appreciating what's happening. I want to make sure we're not one of them. And I do think communication is absolutely the most important thing you can do for your shareholders, along with delivering the deliverables on the grounds. That's very positive. That being said, we really want to continue to grow our shareholder base, specifically in Europe, because Europeans are fantastic with long-term plan. They're sophisticated investors. They understand what we're trying to accomplish, and they're not out there shorting your stock, and they're supportive. And you need supportive shareholders when you're, trying to build something like this. It's not an easy game to play. And yeah, we have really good support. Of course, you probably hear in my voice all the time that I'm a visionary. So I've already got 3 groups that I want to work with on the debt side lined up. I have several royalty companies that are chomped to do a deal with us. I ran into one of the guys at PDAC, and he said, "Let me know when you want money." And you appreciate those relationships because they've already done the background homework. They're like, "We would love to work with you." So that's fantastic because it's all about negotiations. And once you get to the point where you're going to go raise the funds, it's going to be simple, and they're going to be able to play off each other for the best deal for our shareholders. So that's always good to have in your back pocket to think about. So, yeah.
I think it comes again to the people which are surrounding yourself and which you want to work together and which you have worked in the past, and you can rely on these groups. We all know that Nevada is the mining country. Is easy to get permits there. It has a process, but it's quite easy if you follow the process. So it's mines are permitted, mines getting into production. You are one of the one which is far ahead of the bulk, I would say. Who are the other big players who might looking for getting involved? Who are the operating mines? And maybe you can mention a couple of names here.
Yeah, Caliber, they've got the Pan project in Nevada, although they've got assets all over the world. They just announced the deal with the Valentine project of Newfoundland. But our neighbor, Fortune Gold, they butt up right next door to us. They have an operating open pit mine, 50,000 ounces a year, about 2, 3 gram rock. They actually, the cool part of their story was they put that in production in less than 24 months. It was brand new. It was total greenfield as far as mining goes. So I thought that was really impressive. The Bureau of Land Management, it really does come down to the specific office you're working with. And the office we work with, we're very close to because we also have a private company with mining assets so that we always know what's going on. We always have work going on, and that could be put into a company like Lahontan in the future. So that means we're always in the office of BLM. We're on a first name basis. I have all their cell phone numbers. So when I say or thinking about doing our permitting and plan of operations, I'm picking up the phone and saying, "Hey guys, I want to do this. Please tell me I don't want surprises here." So it's really helpful from that standpoint to have those kind of relationships. But there's several different groups that are actively wanting to be more in the Nevada space. It's just a really active district right now, and permits are getting moved forward. And I think there's been a very nice shift with the government, with locally, that you've got to get these in production. We've got a huge carbon issue. Net zero by 2050 is still not attainable, but we need to figure out a way to get there. It's a big ask. And I think I like seeing all the pressure come on these governments to help us out because it's starting to work, especially where we are.
Mhm. I think the good thing is that you are working in a mining jurisdiction where a lot of people are around, where a lot of people can contribute, and most of them. This is a fantastic thing too. It's an advantage what you have here.
Yeah, you have great talent. University of Nevada is nearby. I'm always getting I call them my kids because I always bring in all the young people, have them work our projects, intern with us. We give scholarships for different people at UNR so that we can bring them in. I do a lot of speaks at the technical style conferences that go on so that they know that I'm a CEO in the space, and we're always looking for young, new talent because I believe in those eyes. So that's fantastic. To your point of talent, though, Kappas Cassidy, who they've built mines all over the world, we always say they invented heap leaching, and they're so fantastic. Their office is like 10 minutes down the road from ours in Reno, and they're the one that put our technical metallurgical report together that we put out about a month ago, showing what the numbers are from the past, the recoveries, 74.4% for gold, 29 for silver, how to optimize it. And so after we got that document out, I was really excited about that. They did that for free because they want to work with us so much to
Mm.
to build the Santa Fe project. It was very interesting because when I met with them, I said, "Look, everybody always wants to do a feasibility study before they take it into production, but I'm under the argument that let's just do a PA, a heavy as they call it. The back end is more in depth of engineering, so we have everything we need, and use that document to go build it. Because why would we go through redoing all the metallurgical work that's been done for 6 years when we have all of this data? But I need them to say yes or no to that. Are we on the same page with this? Because when I go to get debt financing, they're going to want to see all of this work. So that's been a fantastic collaboration. They absolutely said, look, you this mine, our numbers match what happened in the past down to 0.5%. Yes, go for the PA and you don't need to do the rest of it, but they'll be our partners in crime along the way, which is it speaks very loudly to
Mm.
the quality of our asset.
I have to say what I really like, Kim, is that you are once again involving this young generation. I do the same here in my financial company, and I think that's very important because we inspiring them. But also on the other side, we can encourage them and can with our experience. And I think what I now I come to a point where which is we have seen that you have described the merits of the company very well, the status quo and the assets what are there. When I many times when I'm speaking with mining bosses, they always tell me, "Oh, we do not spend any money for marketing or public relation. We put everything in the ground." And then I'm start really yawning because and thinking about what's my next meeting because I'm getting really non-interested anymore, to be honest. Because why you are public then? As a public listed company, you have a responsibility to your shareholders. It's great to surround yourself with a great management team and great geologists, but the money what you're spending is the money of the shareholders, which and I think many companies don't understand that. To create a really successful company, and I think you did that in the past, and you had great exits. All of them they were public listed and they behaved
Yeah.
publicly. And maybe you can evaluate a little bit what is your idea here in Lahontan
Yeah.
Gold, how to address that public listing space and PR side.
Yeah, and that's an awesome question. First of all, I've had a branding company my whole life with my husband. He's a fantastic talent. And he literally we both always say if people don't recognize the name of your company, you've failed at what you're trying to accomplish because Nike wouldn't be Nike without their slogans and people knowing those just a tiny bit about that company. So you can have the greatest thing in the world, but if nobody knows about it, who cares? So I'm a firm believer in that. You need to have a nice chunk of money allocated to telling your story because you can't move your company forward any other way. It's just like building relationships. I'm a big believer in that. And that's why I'm so excited to work with you and your group because you have a network that I don't have and bringing our networks together on multiple levels is exciting to me. Like, I'm so proud of this company and I want to share that story with the world. And I want to continue to work with people that we can share it to all of our networks together. Yeah, I do all the conferences and social and LinkedIn and all everybody does. But having that personal touch with people and making sure that they actually can believe in what you're going to do and continue to deliver on that is the most important thing I can do as a CEO. I say I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it. And I don't want to ever be in a situation when people don't believe that about me because I'm a person of my words. Yeah, marketing is huge. And that's the fun part because you actually get to tell your story.
Yes, exactly. And then I think what I like as well, when you have the direct communication with your shareholders, because you understand what is their worries. So you understand much better even when there's a direct line. And I think what I see, people can reach you. So they can reach you directly. You are answering emails. You are very active in communication and you understand because of your background, this branding thing is very important. If nobody knows you, how can you building something and I think this is very cool. But Kim, maybe at the end, so because we go together with the people, we go together with our shareholders, we go together with the project, with the people on the ground. We do great things. What would be our, let's say, our end game? What would be our exit strategy? How you see that? Is it that you bring it into production, or would it be maybe a major will take you out, or at this point of time, at one point of time? What is your idea on that, or what could you visionary thinking about it?
Yeah, the takeaways for any of your shareholders is that a lot of exciting stuff's happening with the company. We are moving this project forward is in the fastest timeline you can. And whether we bring value through organically what we're doing on the ground, but coupled with knowledge of this through our marketing campaigns, and if we get bought out, we get bought out along the way, but we're always going to be prepared to build it ourselves. I'm, as I said, Monopoly is my favorite game. So if I'm taking I'm already looking at other assets I want. So whether we turn into a mid cap company or we get bought out, it does not matter to me. What matters is delivering what we say we're going to do, making money for our shareholders, because I think all of our shareholders will just pick up the phone and say, "What are we doing next?" Because I've never not had that situation. I've always gone back to the same people that made money on the last deal, that believed in what we were doing, that says, "Please let me know when you're doing the next deal." It's not about one deal. It's always about building something of value. And if the exits, we get bought out, that's a Hollywood problem, right? It's just all of us making money together. That's why I keep putting money back into it, because I can't help myself. So I believe in this. I believe in this company.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I think, can we have actually everything covered what I'd like to cover here in, I would say, a non-ordinary interview.
I love it.
Monopoly is my favorite game. I think this will be the headline, what I will put it, this video online. This is fantastic. Kim, thanks a lot. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with everything now. I think we will be stay in very close contact, continuously informing our shareholders about Lahontan Gold and about your activities. I'm sure we will see you sooner or later here in Europe on the road. And
Great.
good luck for the moment. And it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate your time. And I hope all your shareholders love this. I just want everybody to know my direct cell phone number is on the website and my email. So pick up the phone. I am happy to chat with everyone.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Bye bye now.
bye.